Alrighty then. I think I say that every one that I start off with, but what we have here is a little bit of a problem child, and this is the fuel tank and the generator and fuel air assembly from a Model 16 heater, which I've done on this channel before. Now, when I did this before, I got this thing to work without taking the valve out of the tank, and we're going to have to do that today because I went to go use it yesterday, and well, I cheated first. I used the propane adapter, but with it being cold out, that propane adapter froze up pretty quickly. Well, not the propane adapter, but basically, you know, when it's cold outside, it doesn't take much for the propane to really start delivering a significant amount of fuel. And that's what happened. So the heater essentially wasn't heating. It was just barely kind of puttering along. So I went to go put this in there, and lo and behold, put pressure to it and tried to get it to do anything, and it did nothing. It was completely plugged. So that is what we're going to mess with today. So going to be getting this valve assembly out of the tank here, and hopefully without spinning the bung. So as I'm looking at this, I may have to put some apprentice marks on this because it looks like I can, grab that with a pair of pliers, which is, as much as I hate to say that, but a pair of pliers, and then I can turn against that. A friend of mine, Johnny Turville, just pulled his out, and he said that he didn't have any problem getting it out of there. It came loose pretty easy. So I'm thinking what I may end up doing is just trying that tack first to see how much resistance we get, and then go from there. But the first step will be to drain the fuel out of here, and it's, as you can see, it's got some pressure in it still. So fully expecting this to be kind of probably green, I'm guessing, because this would be from the copper tank. These have got really long standoffs inside of here. So even though there is a significant amount of fuel in there, I don't know how it's baffled in there to keep it from coming over. But there we go. We got to do it this way. And it actually looks pretty good. I use ethanol-free gasoline in here. Yeah, you're just going to get it around that baffle, and then it just comes right out. So we'll do this a few more times to get it out of there. And then, I don't know what the inside of this tank looks like, but it's got to be kind of interesting. It has to do, I'm guessing, with the fuel pickup here, but we'll just kind of keep milking it out. There's a little bit of, let's see, so it doesn't want to do it that way. Yeah, it'll do it this way. Okay, I think that's probably about as much as we're going to be able to comfortably get out of there. Anyway, this is a really cool fuel funnel, and you can see I've marked this one with fill lines for 242, 200A, 236. They're available on Amazon, and I'll put an affiliate link down below, so I do get a small commission off of it. And I'd really appreciate it if you say, hey, this is a great funnel, because this way you never overfill a lantern again. What you do is essentially dump your lantern into here, fill it up to the line, and then pour it back in, and you'll never overfill. And then, of course, when you're running it through your filter will pick up any kind of water and other kind of scuzz, so it allows you to kind of clean and flush your tank. So, like I said, it's an Amazon affiliate link. I get a little bit of a commission off of doing that, but, this is a way to get you guys a neat piece of kit that works so great. It doesn't spill, it doesn't drip. It's really good. But anyway, check one out. Buy one. I'd appreciate it. The channel appreciates it, and everything will be, let me buy more stuff here to show you guys. So let's see what we can do to get this this valve off of here. And yeah, we got quite a bit of fuel down the side of this. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. I got to take this large valve knob off, because otherwise it's going to hit the tank as I spin it around. So I'll go ahead and pull this off of here. Set that aside, a little part spin there. And I'm kind of wondering if I shouldn't apply a little bit of heat on this first, just to kind of warm things up some. You know, this is like before the super cold weather here in Texas. Yeah, now we got an open container of gasoline. We're gonna move this away before we use the torch. So put it over here. I probably should have just poured it off into this Erlenmeyer, but it's a little dirty, but you know, it'd probably be just fine. Anyway, it's far enough away, shouldn't be a problem. So we'll get this lit, and we'll just apply a little bit of heat to this fitting here just to kind of warm it up some. I like using the butane torches for this stuff because it's not super hot heat. It's about 1,000 degrees cooler, I think, something like that. It's a significant amount of degrees cooler than your propane. And so that way you don't really cook anything to death. And really what I want to do is just kind of get it up to a room temperature, because you can see on the thermometer there it's about 49, 50 degrees here in the shop. And that's kind of cold. So we'll get a little bit of heat into this and then see how it goes. That's probably good. Okay, maybe we're gonna stand this up and try this way. Well, she doesn't want to come real easy. Maybe we might need a little bit more heat on it and see how warm that got. Got a little bit warm. We'll keep going a minute. I don't know if they've got any kind of thread sealer down in here. They probably don't, because this is just an NPT pipe thread. So we'll just keep on cooking it a little bit. I was really kind of hoping that would come off there a lot easier than that, because since this is pretty thin material here, obviously I don't want to spin the bung. And there's enough, I'm applying enough pressure on this that I'm not sure that even if I had a wrench, a pair of, maybe unless there were locking pliers on the other side, that I'd be able to really prevent it from spinning it. Getting a little bit of smoke off of it now, so this that's probably good. Come on, baby, let's see what you can do here. Oh, it's coming. Slowly, though. Yeah, I don't want to apply too much to it. I think I like the idea of some more heat. It feels very gummy. So we're going to continue with this a little bit now that we've got it kind of broken loose some. Yeah, it feels real varnishy. And I don't know how warm this bung is here, because you can see the bung is pretty, it's a pretty big piece of metal, and that needs to heat up enough to let it go. Because that tank is going to try to conduct away a bunch of heat. And you can see how much heat that thing's taking, because it's not even trying to bubble the paint yet. Just a lot of thermal mass here, especially in the cold shop. Okay, let's see what goes on now. Yeah, that feels better. Just slow and easy. Don't want to be in too much of a rush. And I'm definitely putting some pretty good torque on it. But boy, it just doesn't. I was expecting it to kind of break a little bit freer, but it's not. I mean, it's moving, obviously. I mean, we've got it turned around a fair bit. But I was thinking at this point, it'd already be kind of wanting to let go. See if I can apply a little bit more help here. I think it's like just seizing up almost as fast as I can turn it. I have to put some more heat to it. Yeah, with these old tanks, you know, they used gasoline in them, and that's how they worked, and that's what I've been using in it also because the generator is so easy to service on this thing. So that's what I've been using. And I don't think my stuff has gummed it up. I think it's just years of use had gummed it up because when I opened it up, it smelled pretty varnishy. So yeah, not too surprising. All right. We'll keep it going. Yeah, it really makes a difference when it's warmed up because I don't feel like I'm having to crank on it nearly as hard. Yeah, now that's much easier. So heat is your friend, I'm telling you. You've heard it before on this channel. Definitely heat is your friend because then you can get things out of there without destroying them, without wrecking the bung, which is, man, that's, you rip the bung out of here and you're sunk. You're not going to find another tank. Okay, there we go. Whole assembly out. And let's see what we got here. All right. So there's a fuel rod that's in here. This whole thing comes apart. It comes apart into multiple pieces. Johnny had told me that this outer piece here, this comes apart, and so we'll go ahead and get into there. We'll take a look with this knob here real quick. Actually, I've got a spare one, so I don't have to mess with that one. And verify that the fuel air rod is retracting like it's supposed to. Yep, I can feel it is no longer there, so that's good, which means the fuel pickup is clear that way, and then as we screw it back in, we can see that rod come right back up again, so that's great. That's working like it's supposed to, so that's good. We're gonna put this in the vise here, and we're gonna get the pickup off of it. Go ahead and do this so we don't put any more apprentice marks on here than we need to. Let's see, hopefully we'll have a wrench here that fits. I know they picked some tweener sizes that weren't always the right ones in my set. And 3/8 maybe? Yeah, 3/8. So I'll take that off. Boy, it's really on there. Yeah, that is really on there. I think what I want to do is I want to get that off too. So maybe while that is still kind of holding it, get this. See what kind of, oh yeah, there's a bit of scuzz that's inside that pipe. So this pipe is probably all plugged, but that's okay. We'll get her. Well, actually, we're going to go ahead and use this to keep from messing up the fitting. Get more contact on all sides, so that way we're not trying to mess anything up. And also with these, if they get kind of tight on you, you can work them back and forth a few times. And also probably our good friend heat would also help out with this too. But we're making good headway now, so now it's pretty loose. And there is the whole rod and everything else. Okay. So metering rod, and this is, I believe, is pretty plugged up in here. Let's see if this wants to come loose. Nope, this is just an insert that's supposed to be in there, so that's fine. So run this back through here the other way. No restrictions. Yep, plenty of airflow through there. I don't know if the one that I've got looks like Johnny's, because his let's see if we get the, okay, that seems to be working. This seems to be swedged down onto here. I don't think it'll come off easily. I don't think it's removable like his was, because it looks like it's not going to want to come off of there at all. Kind of polish this up a little bit with some steel wool to see what it looks like underneath here, because it definitely is brass. Yeah, there's quite a bit of buildup and scuzz on there, but it does seem to flow okay. So that means we need to turn our attention to this here. So I'm going to take, actually I'm going to put this back in here. Push that back down, and then this should just, yeah, just unscrew right off of there, no problem. Yeah, I've taken this generator out already, so that should be fine. The trick is getting some purchase on that to spin that loose. I don't know if I'll be able to very well. I think actually what we should probably do is invert this and then use the flats on this to do our dirty work. So this way we should be able to spin this off of the generator body if my vise doesn't spin, which it's going to. There we go. Yeah, and I noticed this thing was slowing down too, so this may be an issue that needed to be addressed anyway. So let's see here. This generator setup here should be able to flow fuel without any problem if I unscrew this all the way. So let's try that, see if I can blow any air through it. Instead of me, I'm going to use this. Interesting. Feels like the generator is completely clogged. Okay, interesting. So that means that with this open, which will, of course I'm using the one here when I've got my spare one. So this means that this should flow air with no problem. Yep, completely clean, free and clear. So something in the generator. So we'll go ahead and take the generator tip off. Get this set back up on here. Okay, there's that. There's our gas tip. There's our little generator, the needle, which sticks right straight through like it should. Yep, something's completely plugged in there because that's flowing air. I can see right through the gas tip there. So next up, we take the generator tube off, and more the same type of action here. We just kind of get her comfy in the leather lining, and then we unscrew. Actually, I probably should have done this a little more like that, give myself a better chance. Okay. Oh yeah, that feels kind of cruddy in there. Okay, so now we should be able to blow right through here, no problem. Just as I expected. Okay, so we're going to start by cleaning this. Get the carbon off it. Here I was talking about how easy the generator is to service. Well, you're seeing it right here, folks. It's very much like a stove generator. There's not a lot different to it. Okay, so that has got most of that carbon off of here. And now we got to just deal with the generator, which is kind of plugged up. It's weird because I didn't put that spring in there too long ago. I got a replacement one. So now we just got to figure out how to kind of get it out of there. And usually that is a heat quench method. So what we're going to do here is, well, it's a matter of heating this thing up with a torch and then throwing into water to quench it. And then eventually that spring will come out, although it does sound awful loose. See if I can just poke it out of there. I don't think I'm that lucky. And I don't want to really yoink on it because then you can, then you can stretch it out and then you can't use it again. So the deal with this will be just to heat quench it. And maybe we'll show a couple of those. It usually takes several and I don't want to bore you with it. But this is my, what I use for that. So really nothing more than just kind of a tub of water that is icy cold. And then I have a rod here somewhere, usually. Maybe this will work. Thought I had a bigger one. Well, this will have to do. It's a little smaller diameter than I normally like, but That's all right. So we'll put this in here like that. And then we kind of stick the generator on there. So let me pull this in here a little bit more. So you stick your generator on there, and then you heat it with a torch, and then you grab it with a pair of pliers, and then you throw it in there. So I'm going to get a pair of pliers because that's going to be too hot to handle. And then we just torch the heck out of it. And this does take a while, but you'll start seeing smoke coming out, and that smoke will catch on fire, and that's all your residual fuel that's in there. Now you know you're getting somewhere. But eventually all that gas will burn off, and then you won't have that to worry about. I usually like to get all that gas burned off before I throw it into the water, because that way you're not having flaming gas going everywhere. You know, I've always wanted to kind of do this where I could blow some air in it too, to kind of accelerate the process of getting the carbon out of there. So we're going to try that real quick, see how well that works. And I realize the air is cold, it's going to cool it down, but once we get this thing up hot enough, maybe it'll help kind of burn some of that stuff off inside, make it easier for it to come out. I'm actually kind of surprised how quickly this clogged up. I mean, I am using pump gas in it, but I've used pump gas in a lot of stuff, and I haven't had it burn like this before, so. You know, I'm trying to put very little air in there so I'm not cooling it off too much. But it might be an idea to like hook something up with like an aquarium air pump that doesn't use a whole lot of air, or doesn't have a whole lot of air output, and see if that'll help oxidize what's inside there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and drop this in here and see what happens. All right. I usually do it at an angle, so I get water going in one side and hopefully shooting out of the other. And then we'll see if our spring gets looser or not. So far it's not. I don't think it's moving. Nope. Anyway, so that's what this kind of looks like. I'm going to do this several more times. I ain't going to bore you with it, but we'll come back when it's all done. Okay? Well, until then, we'll be right back. Ta-da! Okay, let me tell you what went on. So, as you can see, I had everything out without damaging anything any more than I had to, which actually is not at all in this case, which is great. So what I did is essentially continued the same path as that, but then I kind of took that idea of trying to oxidize the carbon inside the tube to free up the spring. And that, I think, is what made the difference, because I got to a certain point where I was blowing air in there very gently, and I could start to see the generator tube glow red. And if I blew more air, it got redder, so I knew that I had ignition inside of there. So then I basically backed off on the air until I could just faintly see a little bit of red there, and held it there for a bit. And eventually that red dropped off and went away, which meant that the carbon that was sticking everything together had oxidized enough to stop burning. So this is a really cool way to salvage a generator without destroying the coil, because these you just can't get anymore. And what the manual said to do, that when you had a generator like this, you stick a pair of pliers in there and you go and you yank it out, and then you end up with a coil. I think I've got an example of what happens when you do that. You end up with a coil like this that you can't ever get this back together. I mean, you can try to push this back down, but you can see what happens. You're never going to get it back to right where it was, and it is kind of a little bit disappointing to destroy stuff like that. But anyway. Right. So that's a great way to do it. Now, what I want to do here is I need to rinse this off with some brake cleaner, and I'm doing this just so, and you can see this is probably right where it was oxidized, because it looked like it got kind of hot. Anyway, we're going to just rinse off all the carbon that's on here, because I don't want to add more of it to my generator when I reassemble, which is yes, instead of Avengers reassemble, it is generators reassemble. So I'll put this on here, try to keep it a little bit cleanish, and we'll put all this back together. So the way this works is that we can put this coil in here at any time, because now everything goes in there really easy. I use a 338 bore brush. This is just a bronze gun brush, and you can see it's probably needs to be replaced. But yeah, 338 works great for these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reassemble the gas tip on here, screw this back down. And you want to make sure that you get these down reasonably tight, because otherwise you'll start leaking fuel. If you get a little bit of flame coming out right here, that means you didn't get it quite tight enough. So I'm going to stick this in the leather, just nestle down in there. And these are stainless, so you can actually crank down on them reasonably well. Somewhere in here I've got the right wrench, which is probably this one. Yeah. So we're just going to crank that on there. That's good. We'll install our coil, which goes in super easy now because everything is clean. I'm going to, let's see, yeah, the valve is all the way open, because that means that this needle will be all the way retracted. So that's why I'm going to put this in here like so. And then it's amazing how everything goes back together so easy when it's been cleaned, right? Anyway, so we'll do the same deal here. Get this back in the leather. Again, I'm not giving myself a good chance here with the wrench. So we'll tighten this on here, around a little bit. Okay, that should be enough. And now when we screw our valve all the way closed, we should see that needle sticking out, and we do right there. That's just what we want. And open the valve all the way up, and beautiful air goes through it. Yay. All right. I didn't do anything further with this. It seemed to be fine. I mean, there's a little bit of some tarnish in there. I kind of brushed the outside of it. It flows air through the fuel air channel just fine. So I'm not going to try to pull this apart. I think Johnny just must have had a different one that came apart nice, which is great, but ours does not work that way, so that's fine. So we will put the this end back on it with the fuel pickup. And this I can grab on the flats here and give it a little bit of a tweak to make sure it's snug. We'll take this, we're going to put our spring in first. So this is the thing that also kind of drives me a little bit crazy. People are like, hey, have you stretched the spring? Well, the deal is that what the spring is there for is to make this rod go up when the pressure is off the tip of it. Here you can see it rubs on that valve, that little bright spot, right? So might as well kind of clean some of this stuff off, I guess, while we're here. Anyway, so the whole point of the spring is to pull this rod up out of the way when the pressure is off of it. And first of all, does it move freely? Yes, it moves freely. A great trick, I think Frank mentions this, is like just run it through here backwards. If it runs through there free, you're good to go. Now, the thing here is that if this goes down and this pops right back up out of the way, your spring's fine. You don't need to do anything with it. All the spring, so if you have a spring that is not working, that means that if you unscrew the valve all the way and it still doesn't retract the rod, and the only way you can get your lantern to go brighter is to turn it, invert it, which then fills these holes with fuel, then that means you got a spring problem or you got a stuck rod. So that's what that means. So we're going to go ahead and screw this back together. Go ahead and use the box end here. And you don't need to go crazy tight on these things because brass is soft and it will self-seal. So now this is all the way out. We're going to screw it all the way in, and you will see that rod comes out. Hard to see, it just barely pokes out of there, just a little bit. And then when we back this off, that rod disappears, and it allows fuel to go through. So this tells me no need to do any kind of playing around with any kind of springs or anything like that. Everything's fine. Next step is reinstall the generator to the valve body, which we'll do here. Probably don't need to go much more on it than, well, maybe we'll do this way. And that's probably all I really want to do. I don't think I will have any kind of leaking problems. I'm just trying to make sure everything's aligned straight. Should be good. And yeah, that should be all right. So from here, we have a completely reassembled valve assembly. So we can grab our tank and get to cranking on the tank. Now, hey, you know what? I bet I can get rid of the last bits of that scuzz and crud out of there, because I don't think there's any baffle on that bung right there. So maybe we'll get lucky and get the last bits of this out of here. Yep. All right. That's awesome. Whoops, try not to spill that. Okay, so this is, you can see all the stuff that's in there. We're going to put this in a place where I can't immediately knock it over, which in this shop is few and far between. So we're just going to set that right there for right now and get this back on. Of course, I'll filter all that before it goes back in there, and maybe the fuel running through here will have kind of made these threads a little easier to work with. Maybe not. Looks like there's still some debris in there, but we'll apply a little bit of air and blow that out of there. All right. Okay, I'm going to give it one more spin from here. Ooh, you can see how flexible that metal is. It's a little terrifying. Get this nice and straight. And there we go. All back together. I think maybe I turned that a little bit too much. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And that's it. So what we got this, crank that down, do this. We'll stick a little bit of shop air in here. This is set to about 40 psi, so it's not going to hurt anything. And with any luck, when we open the valve, all right, we got to put this one back on here. Well, let's do it this way. It's a lot easier. Okay. Okay, so we'll open that, open this, listen for hiss. Well, I can feel it. I can't hear it, but I can definitely feel the air coming out. So we're good. We're good to go. In fact, probably if I do this, you might hear a little bit more. Yeah, I can definitely feel it, so it is all flowing like it's supposed to. So that's great. And that is this one fixed. So, yeah, kind of a long process. Got into this one a little deeper than I actually needed to. Probably what I should have done is just pull the generator off first and check for flow out of here. And if it was working here, I didn't have to get into the tank whatsoever. So you live and you learn. But, yeah, I've got this one here, and I've got another one in various stages of repair that I need to look at also. So, yeah, that one is another Model 16. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something and enjoyed a little bit of time together here. So until next time, keep them lit.